Hey everybody, Dr. Ben here, Functional Medicine Center, and welcome to this beautiful day. Today I'm going to be going over something very near and dear to my heart, and that is autoimmune. And first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about autoimmune disease and then tell you how I got into functional medicine and how autoimmune has basically helped evolve my career and helped me to help way more people. So autoimmune conditions are where the immune system is triggering itself to attack its own tissue. And we'll get more in depth into this in a little bit, but there's over 190 named autoimmune conditions. And it's the third leading cause of death when you put all of those together. Why do we put all those together? Because it is very, very prevalent and they all have very similar issues. And so that's what we're going to be going over this evening, is telling you exactly what is leading to these issues and what is driving autoimmunity to be the third leading cause of death in the United States. It's amazing. It's everywhere. So here's my story. Here's how I got into functional medicine and what has driven me every single day. Way back when I was a junior in high school, my mom got diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. She was a teacher and she had full-blown MS flare-up. She had to go on disability. She went on all the medications. This was back in the 90s. And I went to Syracuse University for undergrad. I'd fly home. That's when you used to be able to go down to the gate to pick people up. My dad would have to wheel her down in a wheelchair. At Walmart, she'd have to jump in the little scooter and go around Walmart that way. She used a cane. She was on all these medications. Probably 3 years of her life, she doesn't even remember conversations that we had because she was so doped up, so gone from all this. She had plaquing on her MRI. She was on this downward spiral that she wasn't going to be around to see her grandkids and to do all the things that she wanted to do. Luckily, when I was in school, she found a doctor that was able to help her get her body as healthy as feasibly possible. Her body reversed the damage. Her body got rid of MS. She's now 77 years old, does granny boot camp, does burpees. She fly fishes all the time. Today, she was just with my two older boys and they spent probably 6 hours out in the yard digging and chopping and weeding and all these things. No possible way, if she would have been on all the medications, could that have happened. So how did that happen? The body has the power to heal itself. And this is what we see all the time with people, whether it's MS, whether it's lupus, whether it's Hashimoto's, any autoimmune condition. And so that is what taught me at an early state in my career that the body can heal and that no matter what, and so that's what we're looking at. The body is able to change, it's able to heal, and that is what we're looking at with autoimmune. So autoimmune diseases are going to trigger its own immune system to attack itself. So that can be MS, that can be lupus, that can be the gut with ulcerative colitis, with Crohn's, that can be in the brain where we attack the cerebellum and people start getting balance issues. That can be the cortex where we start losing our cognitive function. That can be MS where we lose the nerves and that myelin sheath, rheumatoid arthritis, any Hashimoto's that we attack our thyroid, lots and lots of autoimmune conditions. It's the third leading cause of death when you put all of the autoimmune conditions together, over 190 named autoimmune conditions. So tonight I'm going to give you 5 things that you can focus on starting today even to start reversing autoimmune. So if you or somebody you know is dealing with autoimmune, like or share this video, put the little button up top that says notify us, and we'll let you know as soon as we start going live. We try to do live videos almost every single day, whether that's COVID updates or functional medicine updates. So functional medicine is all about getting to the underlying why. And we've got to get to that underlying why that the body is going haywire. And that is the perfect part of autoimmune, is we've got to balance this out. We've got to get the body to calm itself down, calm down that inflammatory cascade. So what are some of the things that we look at? Number one thing that you can do to start calming down your autoimmune is to balance your blood sugar. We've talked about this 100 times. I've got video after video after video. My book, I can't say it enough. Balancing your blood sugar is the number one thing that you can do for any condition you have, but especially autoimmune. We like that between 85 and 110. Keep that blood sugar consistent all day long. Every time the blood sugar spikes up too much or down too low, it is going to rev up that immune response and we're going to destroy more tissue. Hey Sherry, chronic fatigue. Is chronic fatigue part of the autoimmune? A lot of times there is some autoimmune going on with people that have chronic fatigue, but chronic fatigue syndrome is not a disease. It is not a full-blown, oh, this one bacteria has caused it. Chronic fatigue syndrome is just a glump of symptoms that we throw together and call it something. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, same thing. Chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome are not diseases. They're syndromes. They are just a lump of symptoms. Sure, IBS may have some autoimmune component to it. It might have some Crohn's. It might have some ulcerative colitis, some different things, but it is not going to be an autoimmune condition specifically. If you have any other questions, go ahead and throw those down below, guys. So again, 5 things that you guys can do starting tonight to slow down or even reverse your autoimmune. We see autoimmune MS goes away, rheumatoid arthritis goes away, lupus goes away. We see these go away all the time when the body's given what it needs to heal. And so balancing the blood sugar, number one thing you can do. You've got to keep that consistent, 85 to 110 all day long. Spike up too high, crash down too low, rev up that immune response, and you destroy more tissue. Number one. Number 2 is going to be to calm your adrenals. Almost every single patient that we work on that has autoimmune, we see that they have what's called a high alpha state in their brainwave. Alpha is going to be that relaxed, calm, meditative state, but almost every single autoimmune patient is through the roof with their alpha. That means they can't relax, they can't calm down, they've got anxiety, worry, rumination, hyperemotionality. That brain is going. My mom, she would get up, she would be gone at 5:30 before I even woke up for school. She'd get home, she'd walk in for dinner at 5:30 at night, and then she'd grade papers 2 more hours every single night. I remember walking by as a kid and rubbing her shoulders, and they were like rocks. She was so wound up, and eventually her body crashed and shut down. So you've got to be able to calm your brain down, calm the adrenals down. The adrenal glands are stress glands. We've got a lot of other videos on those, but we've got to do deep breathing techniques, relaxation techniques, neurofeedback, all these different things to help calm that brain down, calm the adrenals down. Number 3, heal your gut. What we call leaky gut is a true indicator of whether someone's going to get they'll eventually get autoimmune or not. And what happens is that gut lining, small intestine lining, allows bad things, pathogens, bacteria, food allergens, all types of things into the bloodstream. And then it can go wherever, and it just revs up this immune response, and it causes that body to go into hyperdrive. So I always use the little analogy. So instead of coming with a little BB gun, we come with a bazooka, and it blows it up when it's not that big of a deal. But to the body, it feels like a big deal. So we've got to heal that gut lining. Almost every single patient that has autoimmune that I've ever seen in my career, almost 20 years now, has leaky gut. A couple other questions. Mast cell activation. There is a potential thought with mast cell activation that is autoimmune, but there's other things that are going on, and a lot of the same thought processes of calming things down for autoimmune is going to help that mast cell activation. Graves' disease, Danielle, yes, Graves' disease is another autoimmune condition that usually is where that thyroid goes high, hyper, and so they will remove that thyroid so that they can calm it down. Instead of calming down the autoimmune, it's basically cut out the thyroid, and then what's going to happen? Well, in over half the people that have one autoimmune condition, they have multiple. So guess what else is happening in your body? Just by taking the thyroid out, that does nothing to slow down that autoimmune reaction. Just like if it's going the other way, Hashimoto's, 80% of the people that have low thyroid have Hashimoto's. So what happens? Well, you go on thyroid medication, but you don't address the autoimmune. So what does that mean? Well, then it usually it goes and attacks someplace else in the body as well. So is anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression are not necessarily autoimmune conditions, but the anxiety and depression are going to drive that over-exaggerated response that we call it sympathetic dominant, fight or flight. Who's been in fight or flight lately? Just watching the news, worrying about who's going to get sick, all these things. Constant dread, constant fight or flight. We are feeding our immune system to attack itself. So Danielle, suggestions on how to heal leaky gut. Check some of our other videos. We've got a bunch of information on there as well. So healing up that leaky gut, there's specific nutrients that can be helpful. You look at glutamine, marshmallow root, aloe vera, but you also have to look at killing off the bad stuff. So whether that's H. pylori or that's yeast or bad bacteria, you've got to kill that off. Some people have SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. Then we have to build up the good stuff. So healing the leaky gut, it is a multi-step process, but you've got to go through and you've got to start getting rid of the bad stuff, start bringing in the good stuff, start healing up that gut lining, doing as much as you can to balance that out. Then we get into number 4 thing that you can do now is to start looking for infections. Chronic infections is going to be a huge driving factor for autoimmunity. What happens? Well, if you look at chronic Epstein-Barr, hey, great news. Just saw this yesterday in an article. They were talking about COVID-19. And they were looking at, yes, that's a virus, but then you've also got chickenpox and you've got Epstein-Barr are 2 other types of viruses that can go chronic. So chronic Epstein-Barr or mono, we see it all the time in patients, and they have this chronic infection at low grade, and they're just never quite right. They're always a little tired, and it's revving up that immune response, and it's causing their body to destroy its own tissue. Same thing with the chickenpox virus. That comes out as shingles. I had a patient, we talked about her a couple videos ago. When she was 27 years old, she had had shingles 13 times. By the time she was 27, couldn't even move her leg. The damage to the nerve was so bad. Now, 2 years later, she's able to walk, able to hike, do tons of stuff because of calming down that inflammatory cascade and getting the body truly to be able to fight this off. There was no magic, ooh, let's kill off that infection. Yes, there's things that you can do, but ultimately, just like with COVID-19, what do you have to do? You have to have the immune system that can handle anything. We talked about this last week. Louis Pasteur said at the end of his life, it's not about the bug or the germ or whatever it is. It's about the terrain as to whether somebody gets sick or not. So our terrain is going to fight something off way better than any drug, any vaccine, anything else out there. So number 4, kill off the infections. Number 5, we've talked about vitamin D a whole lot, but vitamin D for the autoimmune is crucial. Vitamin D not only turns up the immune system if you are needing to fight something off, but vitamin D helps modulate that immune response. So it turns it up when it needs to, but it can also turn it down, which is super important for autoimmune because that's a lot of times what happens is it go, attack, but it's got to calm itself down. But if that vitamin D is not there, then we're not going to be able to calm that down. So what should your vitamin D be? People always ask, how much do you take? Well, you need to get your vitamin D up to at least 80 if you have an autoimmune condition. So check your vitamin D, start taking more vitamin D and get it up to that level that you need to be at. So top 5 things that you can do tonight to start getting your body to be able to deal with autoimmunity. You or a loved one, like or share this with anybody that's dealing with ulcerative colitis, with Crohn's, with MS, with rheumatoid arthritis, with alopecia. People lose their hair. If you see people with big splotches of where their pigment is gone, that's another autoimmune. Raynaud's, where they don't get blood flow to their hands, that's another autoimmune. People, if they start losing their balance, cerebellum, that can be part of it. Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, thyroid, all of these are autoimmune conditions. Over 190 named autoimmune conditions. Third leading cause of death when you put them all together. Why do you put them all together? Because it doesn't matter what that one condition is in there. It's going to be the same thought process that could rev up that immune system. I've got some other videos on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and check those out. Way more in depth. I've done whole hour-long workshops on where autoimmune comes from and what you can do. So again, for those of you just joining, autoimmune, very near and dear to my heart. My wife has had autoimmune. My mom has had autoimmune. That's what got me into this originally. She had autoimmune, and to the point where she had MS. That last MRI she had probably 20 years ago, my mom, no more plaquing on her MRI. She's 77 years old today. She was outside with my oldest two sons for probably 6 hours digging, cutting weeds, cutting branches, all kinds of stuff. She does Granny Boot Camp, all types of things. No way would that have happened if she would have not found functional medicine and gotten into truly healing the body and getting through this process. So autoimmune is reversible. Absolutely, 100%, but you've got to dig deep. You've got to figure out the whys. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Every person is unique. Some people have a bacterial infection. Some people have a viral infection. Some people's blood sugar is high. Some people's blood sugar is low. Some people have anemia. Other people, their iron is too high. So it's very individualized. You guys need to look at the blood work. You need to dig deep, and you need to figure out how to truly heal your body and reverse the damage that's there. So if you guys have any other questions, drop me a line. Again, I'm always available for complimentary consultation. I can jump on the phone with you 15 minutes, answer any questions you have about what may be going on in your life or a loved one's life. But go ahead and shoot any other questions down below. And thanks for jumping on with me tonight. Autoimmune is reversible. These top 5 things that I just went over, anybody can start doing those, and they can start getting their body to calm down and heal. So everybody have a great night. I'll jump on tomorrow morning. We'll go over some more information. Got some great tips, great ideas on COVID-19 as well. I'll be on tomorrow morning. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great night.